Hey guys, the Explorer of Horror here, Horror Boy, and welcome back to some more reviews. And today, getting into another Dario Argento review. This is, once again, these Dario Argento movies I've been watching back to back because they're very, very well done, and I've been really getting into Italian horror lately. And today, getting to another Dario Argento film. Today, we're going to be getting to Dario Argento's Opera, which came out in 1987. I don't have IMDb available right now, unfortunately, so these next couple of reviews won't have IMDb ratings or any of that stuff, so just a little heads up about that. But I know this came out in 1987, was written and directed by, of course, Dario Argento. And I know that this one's very mixed upon the fans, which, first of all, I want to say thank you so much to John for this DVD. I sent this DVD a little bit ago. I know I haven't gotten to the reviews pretty fast, been really busy trying to get stuff done. But yes, it's a good talk about this movie because I really was interested in seeing it and I could not wait to watch it. And I want to say thank you so much to him for helping me, helping me out and giving me this copy of it. And yeah, to get in the opera, this is one that's very mixed among the Dario Argento fans. I know that I would talk about this movie to people, and most people say the ending is pretty bad, which I can kind of see where they're coming from with that. But Blue Underground DVD, pretty cool. Has does it have a commentary? No, it has interviews with Dario Argento, Ronnie Taylor, a couple of the other stars. Got trailers, opera music video, and a Dario Argento bio. But this DVD is actually very well made. Looks great, sounds great for the DVD, and yeah, pretty cool addition. And I must say, this one, like I said, gets a lot of mixed opinions among fans of Dario Argento. I've asked plenty of people about this movie, and the majority of them say that it's either love it or hate it. You're going to get into it, you're not going to get into it. And I must say, it has problems, definitely has problems, but I will say this, it's still a very solid horror film in my opinion. Really blew me away, really got into the style of it. And like I said, Dario Argento does not rip his other movies off. He does not copy himself over and over again. Like, I go over here and I pull out these other movies that I own. Tenebrae, reviewed it. Absolutely loved Tenebrae. One of my favorite horror films that I had recently discovered. Awesome movie. This feels different than Opera. It's much more of a straight up slasher with cool lighting and moody atmosphere. Then you have Suspiria. I know these are out of order, but you have Suspiria, which is another one that I own. I absolutely love Suspiria. Has a few problems, kind of like Opera has a few problems, but I still really do enjoy and love Suspiria a lot. Has again, it's not copying Opera or Deep Red or any of these other movies that he's made. Very unique plot, done with witchcraft, the ballet aspect, the atmosphere, the music. Love Suspiria. Deep Red, which this DVD is horrible because it's some awful transfer, and yeah, it was very cheap, but this just transfer is really bad. So one day I'll have to either pick up another copy or find another way to watch this movie because this transfer is pretty bad on this DVD. But I didn't see it yet, but I really want to. Those are the other ones that I own from Dario Argento. And all those movies, except for Deep Red, I haven't seen Deep Red yet, but all those movies and this, they feel different from each other. They're not copying each other, they're not the same thing. They're very different. And there are things in Opera that I thought worked, dare I say, a little bit more than Suspiria. And I know people are going to go crazy. Again, I love Suspiria, but in Suspiria, the ballet aspect I couldn't really get into. To me, it just wasn't something that I could relate to. It wasn't something that I could get into. I wasn't getting sucked into it. And going into this movie, I'm not a really big fan of Opera. I'm really not. I'm not into it. I've seen Phantom of the Opera. Really enjoyed that. And again, I went into that movie thinking the same thing. I was going, I'm not into this. I'm not into opera music, so this really isn't going to go too well. Here, same thing. I was like, it's a movie where it's primarily about an opera, and about this play, and I was like thinking, I was like, man, I'm not really sure about this, but I must say, whereas in Suspiria I could not get into the ballet aspect that much. It wasn't like it was horrible or anything like that. It just I couldn't really get into it that much. I really love the opera, and that's so weird, right? It's so weird how that works, but I really love the opera aspect in this movie. It brings such a cool atmosphere and a cool story and a cool way of telling the story. And the story is pretty cool. I mean, it's about this cursed play that has bad luck of Macbeth, and the original star of this play gets hit by a car, and her replacement comes in to replace her, and her reviews are off the charts. She's doing amazing. She's becoming famous. There are movie offers coming in. There are other plays being offered to her. She is now this big star in the opera world. And, you know, she kind of has a little boyfriend on the side, and she's having fans. One of the fans being this cop, who's, I guess, also a cop. And you start noticing these killings happening. This is a giallo movie once again, but it's a giallo movie with a really unique plot. And I guess that's what most people would say is like that could be a problem for people. It's a very different plot, I will say that. And I will give the movie credit. It's very unique and original and different for this kind of a plot for a giallo slasher film. But you got some slashing going on. The movie has some pretty cool kills, some awesome effects, some really good scenes that I thought were just really well shot, really well edited, and really intense. And people start getting cut off one by one. Our lead is forced to watch these murders like this. The killer tapes her mouth, and very unique. I've never seen this done before, where he ties her up, he forces her to watch, and he has these like spikes right under her eyes. And Dario Argento gets so close up on the eyes, and whenever there's blood or whenever he tries to close her eyes, there's bleeding and stuff. She can't close her eyes, but these spikes will completely gouge her eyes out. It's very, very brutal, and it makes the story like, wow, it's very dark and brutal. Like, that's crazy. And I really thought that was a very unique aspect of it, and she's forced to watch these murders. And I like how the movie is not totally opera. I mean, it is, most of it is about this opera, and it has a lot of classical music in it, which the classical music actually was sounding great, and the opera sounded pretty good. And again, I'm not much of an opera guy, but the opera in this movie wasn't annoying. It wasn't like it took up 2 hours of the movie. It was like, it was there when it needed to be there, and matched the movie, and I thought it created a cool tone to it. And it had a great way of telling the story, of making the movie kind of feel like a play in a way, and making everything seem very dreamlike. I just, very, very cool atmosphere and very, very cool story in this movie. And also a pretty awesome lead here. I thought she did a great job. I believe it's Christina, I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Christina Marslach. I know I said that name wrong, but she does a great job as our lead. The acting was good. The dubbing wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty good dubbing, and her acting was pretty awesome. So she's a great lead. You feel bad for her because you don't really know if this killer is a real killer or not, because she's talking about how she had seen him before in her dreams. So you're thinking for a second, you're like, all right, so she's seen this guy in her dreams. The killer is like a phantom almost. So you think it's going to be one of those things where, oh, you know, we've seen this twist before where it's a killer that can't be seen. He's a phantom, and only she can see this guy, and really nobody else sees this guy except for her. And maybe you could also say the crows in this movie as well, which I'll get to that in a second. That's also a very cool aspect of the movie. The usage of crows or ravens. I believe they're just crows. Crows or ravens, whatever one. They look pretty much the same. But that was really well handled. I'll get into that in a second. But, you know, we've seen these movies before. I would say one title, but it's a big spoiler for the movie. And I believe it's a is it a French movie or Italian? I can't remember if it's French or Italian. But it's a movie that came out, I believe, in the 2000s. Has a really cool poster. A lot of people might know what it is, but that movie's ending is similar to what I'm talking about, where you think it's her as the killer because nobody else sees this killer. Nobody else really knows about him. She kind of sees him go, and why would he let her live? And we've seen it done plenty of times before where you think somebody else is going to be the killer. And it's not being like that. And they make you think that maybe she's doing this because her reactions, like, she doesn't call the police immediately when you think she would. She's talking about how she's in trouble. She's talking about the curse of the play. There's the whole crow-raven aspect to it. There's this really... It's not really supernatural, but it feels like a supernatural tone. And the killer is this phantom that you never see. So they make you think it's something that she's the killer, or maybe this phantom killer. But no, it ends up being very smart, that plot, and going forward with it. You really get into the story and don't know where it's going next. And every scene I thought was very well handled as far as acting goes, as far as direction goes, as far as lighting goes, music, performances. Awesome in this movie. Awesome. And basically she goes on, and there's always spoilers in this review, by the way. This is an old movie, but this will have spoilers. More and more people get killed to the point to where she ends up fighting back against this killer, and this cop locks her in this room thinking that she's going to be safe, and the killer finds her. And basically she's running around all over town trying to escape from him. Eventually goes back to the opera. They have this plan, and at first when you're watching this movie, it's not like they explain this plan all the way through, so you're thinking for a second, like, what's going on here? Because during the Macbeth play, a cage just crashes this window, and it has these birds in it. And the birds, I thought, were really well handled in this movie. Crows, ravens. Again, I don't know crows, ravens. Look like crows. But earlier in the movie, these crows kind of have this, I guess you could say, attachment to our lead character. Because while she's singing, you have these shots of the crows everywhere. And a lot of great shots of the eyes. And a lot of... it's live animals, and they're directed very well. They know how to act in a certain way and not be like they were, I can't say like they were, I mean, I guess you could say they were good actors, but like the animals were trained very well, directed and filmed very well. It didn't seem silly, it didn't seem corny, it seemed, legitimate, and it seemed cool. And that's a cool aspect of the movie, because later on, this killer goes into where all these birds are, and he steals this thing off this dress that's part of the play. And the birds get out and try to stop him. They end up pecking at him and stuff, trying to stop him. And he ends up killing a couple of these birds. Well, that comes back later on during this plan where they're going to let these birds loose in the opera, and they'll find the killer and attack him. And you end up finding out that, spoiler alert, this character right here on the back, this guy, this detective character, who was the big fan of the lead character in this movie, he's the killer. And he was obsessed with her mom, and her mom was in these plays, and I think she ended up saying that maybe he killed her mom, maybe he didn't. I can't remember if he did kill her mom or if he didn't. But I know he pretty much knows her mom, and he's going to try and attack her as well and try to kill her. And I thought that was a cool way to reveal the killer, because most of the time in these movies, it's, oh, here's a mask. Let's take off the mask. Ooh, here's the face of the killer. No, here it's letting these birds kind of having that full circle moment in the movie where they go out and they find the guy who's the killer. Very, very cool. Really got into that part of the movie. And the guy tries to kidnap her lead, tries to kill her. She ends up setting this place on fire. You think he's dead. And really enough, I can kind of agree with people where the ending is really strange. you know? Because it gets to this point to where you think, okay, her and this director are out making another movie again. They're out in this great location. I don't know where it's at, but it's beautiful. The mountains, the blue skies, the grass, the open landscape. I don't know where they shot that at, but it was a beautiful location. Like, absolutely beautiful. Great shots there. Great cinematography. No green screen, no blue screen, all real, and it looks amazing. There's just these big open. You guys see the movie? These big open mountain ranges. Like Dario Argento knows how to paint these scenes and shoot them, and they look wonderful. Like I remember in Tenebrae, there's a lot of shots of like this beach area, and it looked beautiful. But here it's pretty cool setting, and you think that she's with this director making another movie, and this news report comes on and says, "Oh yeah, the killer isn't dead. Actually, what he did," and you see him do it. It actually kind of makes it a little silly. He has a dummy of himself and throws it down in the fire. I'm like, do we really need to see him? Why would he need to dress the dummy up exactly like him? Like, what, if it's burned, they really couldn't tell, right? And you see him just throw this dummy down, and it's hilarious. It's kind of silly looking, and this big moment where you realize, oh, he's not dead. He's actually alive, and he starts chasing the lead to these mountain ranges, or like these open fields areas, and he kills the director. These cops are there, and then you think that she's gonna actually, help him. But she tricks him, and he gets captured by the police, and the movie ends. Very, very weird ending, because the atmosphere and the way that it's shot and that twist was kind of weird. It was like, all right, so how did he know where to go? If they're off in this rural mountain area, how did the killer know where to go? And how did he escape with nobody noticing? And, like, if the cops were there all along, how did not notice him coming to that area? Like, there's so many questions in that ending, but I could definitely say it's probably one of the very few problems of the movie is the very ending. I mean, just it's the way it comes off is very weird. Definitely, I could say a very unique ending. But yeah, as far as problems go, the ending can definitely be a problem for some people. I mean, I don't hate the ending, but I can definitely see where it would bother people. Another thing that I noticed is that this lead character, she will like not call the cops after she witnesses a murder. And when you're watching the movie, I guess I'm assuming the reason why it was done is because you're made to believe that maybe she's behind this. Maybe there's something going on here with her character. And you don't really know why she never really calls the cops. She just says, "Oh, I'm in trouble. I can't call the cops. I can't go to the police." And it's like, like why can't you go to the police? Maybe they explained it. Maybe it went over my head. I don't know. But yeah, some of the characters act weird in a certain way. Like they don't make very smart decisions sometimes. In that very ending. But besides that, I love the rest of this movie. I think it's such a well-made horror film. It's got some great usage of music. Whereas, like I said, it's not all opera music. When the kills happen, it's this like rock and roll music, and the killer is like brutally stabbing people. Like there's a scene towards the beginning of the movie where our lead is tied up and her boyfriend is getting stabbed repeatedly with his knife, and you have this like rock and roll music playing, and then when she's being chased with this giant crowd, there's this rock and roll music. As far as kills go, there are some awesome kills in this movie. There's a scene where, as I said, the boyfriend gets killed. This chick gets killed. I think she's the costume. I think she's like the costume designer or something like that behind this play. And the killer drops this necklace into her mouth and she swallows it. So the killer kills her, and he takes this like knife and breaks apart her like up here and pulls it open and grabs it out. Brutal scene. When he kills the director, he just stabs him repeatedly. Very, very brutal death scenes in this movie. Once again, the effects look pretty awesome. The deaths are very gory. The practical effects are very well done. But yeah, this movie's great, man. It's wonderful. It's got a couple problems, but I still think it's another classic Argento film. As far as the music goes, the opera part of it actually was good, and it matched the movie, and it actually benefited the movie. The opera stuff wasn't annoying, it wasn't too much, it was there, perfect, and it really matched this movie. The atmosphere, the way that it's shot, the acting, the performances, the story is very cool. The giallo aspect is very cool. The effects, the music, it's just altogether very, very well made movie. I would definitely give it probably a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. I can't decide whether it's a 7.5 or an 8. But I really do love this movie a lot. But yeah, Dario Argento's opera is amazing. Really got into it. Has a few problems, but I still really got into it. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I really recommend it. Love this movie. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on Dario Argento's opera. I have touched on Tenebrae and Suspiria. If you're curious, I have those reviews. I may link them in the description below if I remember to. So if you're curious, I have reviewed those movies, and I'll be reviewing Deep Red eventually, and Inferno and all the other stuff. Eventually, that stuff will be coming soon as well, because I want to get like a Dario Argento marathon. But yeah, this movie is really well done. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this movie. What would you rate it? Do you like it? If you don't, let me know. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the review. Hope you enjoyed. And the Explorer